Many years ago, there was an idea, and that idea brought us to one of the greatest moments in cinematic history. And then the years following was just a roller coaster of weird proportions. So, did Deadpool and Wolverine save the MCU? There's a lot to unpack here. So I just came back for the movies. I'm recording this while it's still fresh in my brain. Let's just get into it. Obviously, heavily spoilers, right? So that's out of the way. We open up to the Marvel dun 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 with definitely Ryan Reynolds, mimicking the dun 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 dun. And then as soon as we were on, Deadpool is being attacked by the TVA. Kind of feeling we're going to get to this. It was kind of those like, you're wondering how I got here moment. And that's pretty much what happened. So there was that. And then we get this TikTok montage of Deadpool fighting the TVA with the bones of Logan, Wolverine to the song Bye 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 by NSYNC. With that to unpack already, that was like kind of, that was for me when I saw that scene, it was kind of like heavy in the sense of Logan was such a good movie and they kind of pointed out like we don't want to like diss the legacy of Logan because like that Wolverine is dead, and although Deadpool tried to dig him up, in a way it was kind of like, oh, this is funny, this is Deadpool, right? He's digging up dead Wolverine, he's playing with his adamantium skeleton. In a way that's like, oh, that's funny, but also at the same time I was like, I wouldn't say it like lessens the impact of Logan, but it does. I think that is a theme that you see in this movie. Is like Logan was such a good movie and Wolverine was such a good comic book adaptation, especially Hugh Jackman's. And throughout the movie, there are things that like it shows me, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, because that hits the nerves for me, because a lot of these things are nostalgic. But throughout the movie, as it progresses, it reminds you why it's nostalgic, why it's important, and why it mattered. So that was kind of weird in the beginning. I was like, oh no, Logan. But also like, remember how great that movie was? They really remind you like how great that movie was. Because Logan was such a good movie. Man, like when I saw that for the first time, ooh, it was hard. But so moving on after that, there's a scene where Deadpool's like trying to join he's trying to join the Avengers, and he's there with Happy. There's a lot of emotional parts because there are old connections to old Marvel movies, and there's a part where he's like, I want to join the Avengers, and it shows you like this little like part where it zooms into like Iron Man's helmet, the shields there, the little art installation that like Tony grabbed in like one of that, like the first movie was there. That's kind of emotional. It was emotional, like remembering like the legacy of Marvel like has come. We're still in that legacy after like so many years later, and then they wrap it in like jokes and stuff to kind of like it was. That legacy of Marvel was there, and it was really like, man, it's kind of like sad. It was all the beginning part was like kind of, it was hitting me like, man, like they're bringing up these old skeletons that I buried. Like I buried Tony Stark, I buried Logan, like, and you're bringing them back up. It hurts, it hurts, But with that said, we eventually get to Deadpool's life. What's he doing? What's Wade Wilson doing, right? And he's kind of just selling cars and he's making fun of Honda Odysseys. And as a person who I drove a Honda Odyssey for a long period of time, yeah, they kind of do suck. But yeah, he's just doing that. You learn that he, him and his girl aren't even together anymore, but she's still in his life. And boom, at his birthday party. Here's the thing: you kind of see Deadpool go through this like kind of like middle-age crisis. And in my personal opinion, I think that was a representation of like the MCU. The MCU is getting to this point where like it's kind of old, a little washed up, doesn't really know where it's going. And I think this movie was kind of like Marvel's like middle-age crisis, in the sense like, what can we do to like revamp ourselves, get back out there, see what kind of fresh things we can do. And I think this is what this movie was for. This is like Marvel's like, hey, we kind of hear everything you guys have been saying and we just want to like fix it, right? So there was that part of it. Anyways, Deadpool gets a knock on the door. TVA's there. I believe one of the TVA members. At some point, I saw this in the credit. Rob McElhenney was one of the TVA members. Good old Sonny with a Chance there. So TVA steals Deadpool. Basically tells him like, hey, we need your help, or I don't really need your help. Basically, we're destroying your timeline because like it's just done with, because Logan is gone pretty much. Like Logan from the movie Logan, he died. He was heroic. Like he was the anchor that made your universe worth it or whatever. And then they're like, we can take you to the sacred timeline, where like, I guess most of the Avengers stuff have happened, right? And he was like, maybe that's what I wanted, but like you're destroying my homeworld and I don't want to lose my friends, And that's when they drive home that like how important Logan is. And so we get the montage of, he steals one of the little little pad thingies. He goes to a couple of different worlds and see different different Wolverines, you know, short Wolverine, Apocalypse Wolverine. Like we saw Wolverine fighting the Hulk. That was pretty cool. Henry Cavill Wolverine. That was funny. Take some slight jabs at DC there. They take jabs at DC twice. And eventually we stumble upon the Wolverine we see in the trailer, who's like this washed up Wolverine. Probably they considered the worst Wolverine because he caused his world to just there's that. Anyways, we cut to he bring him back. He's in the yellow suit, you know, because he was wearing it under his clothes or something like that. But they bring him back and then it's like, hey, I got Wolverine. We can put him in this timeline. I was like, nope, that's not going to work out. You know, you can't do that. And then because this is where I was getting a little confused. Like, why is the TVA here? Like, where are all the characters from the Loki show? Like, I was getting a little confused. Like, how does this fit with everything that like Loki did? And that was like an issue I think we were starting to run to in a lot of like the Marvel stuff. So many of the different like movies and TV shows were like they were connected but not at the same time, and it was like kind of confusing. So that was like when I saw like the TVA pop in, I was really confused for a second. Like why are they here? Like where's Hunter? You know, like where's the little nerdy dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so where's Loki, right? Oh, actually Loki is holding it all together, I guess. But where's all that? So you finally learn that this TVA is going rogue, right? And then so, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine get pruned into the void, which, you know, if you basically have to watch Loki. Oh, you don't have to watch Loki, but like Loki is definitely implied. Yeah, and then they mentioned Olof, the big smoke monster. Deadpool does drop like, oh, you mean this thing from episode 5 of season 1, blah 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 blah, you know. So and then that's when you finally get to like, okay, Deadpool, Wolverine, we're gonna fight because that's what we want to see. They're both these dudes with regenerating power. Let's go. And that was one thing I saw a lot was in the movie was so many cool fight scenes, so many just like slab, you know. That's what we're doing here. So that was the fan service, and I think a lot of this movie was definitely fan service. Fans were heard. Let's go. And then that's when they start making fun of Mad Max, which is really funny because I just recently saw the Furiosa Mad Max movie, you know, and they even parodied Chris Hemsworth's chariot. He had like, I made the joke, what if he had more than just, you know, 2 or 3 there? Like, what if he had like more? It was just so funny that they parodied that. And it's because Chris Hemsworth is in both franchises. It wouldn't be funny if they had Chris Hemsworth doing that, you know, but they made a joke how about we can't do that because that's like, you know, IP and stuff like that, you know, lawsuits there, right? So then you see a guy drop in and it's like, oh man, this is definitely like, I know who they're teasing right here. They're teasing Chris Evans, Captain America. He even is dressed in like the red, white, and blue. They show his face. Boom. It is Chris Evans. And we're like, what? Here's the thing. I didn't get any spoilers for this movie. So seeing all this, I was like, ugh, you know, I was just, wow. So Chris Evans drops in and then all of a sudden you see all the rejected X-Men. Toad, Ray Park was there. Sabretooth, like from the original. Like it was just, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're all here. I remember when I was like rewatching old Marvel movies, I was like, should I rewatch like the X-Men? Because like, what if they drop crummies for the new movie? I'm gonna be lost, right? Because they brought some stuff back that I was like, are you kidding me? I didn't even know that one. I had to really think, what was that from? You know, so much of that movie was like Easter egg here and here. They really was boom. And it was funny because they definitely give you, you know, like you look at the character for a little bit, oh my god, Easter egg, and then like they even make fun of that where it's like the ooh, back up, look at a pause. There's a lot of stuff like that. They even made a joke, which I thought was so funny. I've made this joke so many times where like the cheesy Marvel dialogue, there was a part where Wolverine is standing behind Deadpool and he's like, he's right behind me, isn't he? He turns around, like they did that. And it was the hat on the hat joke. You know, for the most part it worked, right? Now I will say there were a couple jokes that were a little kind of cringe. Like they make fun of Gen Z at one point, you know. I don't know if I'm either too young or too old to feel about that joke, but you know, not all of them land right. But you know, for the most part, the jokes were fairly fine, right? So, but yeah, boom, Chris Evans pops in there. He's like, oh my god, he's about to be like Avengers Assemble, and then he just says, "Flame on," and I was like, yes, let's go, bringing back Flame on, Johnny Storm, and then Pyro just takes him out and like pretty much a hit and. And that was about it. So they get trapped in like Mad Max style, right? Then you get to the little headquarters, and that's when you meet Cassandra Nova. You know, you got the Juggernaut was there. I believe Psylocke was there. You know, all the rejected X-Men, you know, and oh yeah, Sabretooth and Wolverine fight. He dies in like 2 seconds. Anyways, they pull up, you know, talk to Cassandra. You know, for those who know, she's like Xavier's twin or whatever. I don't know much about Cassandra, so you can look on your own research on that. More nerdy people than I can tell you more about that. So, and then Alof comes. You know, like Cassandra basically has a deal where like I get to, you know, rule the void, right? And in turn, I sacrifice to the giant big monster in the sky. Here's another thing I want to point out. The void looks very different than like kind of Loki. Then the void was huge. Like there are parts where it was like desert. There were parts where it was like forest, grasslands. There are parts where it just looked like you're walking down in a field. Where I remember in like Loki, it was all dark and scary, and maybe because just the void is so big, that's one way to kind of like, it's not really a plot hole, but that was kind of a small like nitpick I had, I guess. But you know, it's fine for the most part. That's just me. That's neither here or there really. So anyways, you find out that there's some people hiding out who could probably help them. So they eventually escape. They try to go find them. You know, you get some witty banter between Wolverine and Deadpool, you know, of like, you know, you talk too much, F this, F that, right? You know, Wolverine drinks rubbing alcohol. They're eating Spam, talking about like their past. And then he's like, what happened in your world? And he's like, I can't tell you. And he's like, well, I guess we have to wait to the flashback, you know, in like Act 3 or whatever. So anyways, cut to keeping forward. They're on their little journey. Eventually they run into like Dogpool. Then they meet the nice Deadpool, which is just Ryan Reynolds basically as like kind of more of a, I don't know, one of those like nice, quote unquote nice guys with the long hair, and definitely got the Bud Canadian accent going on. Yeah, anyways, he's got gold pistols, and he's like, look, I can help you find these people. Here's my Honda Odyssey. And I'm like, no, I don't want to drive a Honda Odyssey. It's trash. But they get in the car. He's like, get in the car. Deadpool and Wolverine driving in the car, trying to find this area. It felt like a Honda commercial. They're driving through like the windy roads and the forest. And I'm like, how does the Void have all this? This is crazy, you know? This was not expanded on in Loki, but that's just my small nitpick. Like I said earlier. Anyways, they get in an argument, talking about like, because you know, Wolverine found out that Deadpool kind of lied to him, saying he's like, I thought you said the TVA could help my world. He's like, well, I made an educated wish. You know, that's what he said. That's literally his words. They make fun of that later, but and then they have a whole argument together, and then Wolverine pops off and is like, you are trash, you're worthless, your relationship failed because it's your fault. And yeah, we kind of learned that Deadpool was like losing himself, and because you find that when Cassandra, she sticks her fingers inside Deadpool's brain, and her nails are really long for some reason. I don't know why, but it's weird. She like digs in the brain, and you kind of see like what happened, like, you know, Deadpool lost himself a little bit, you know, and he just wanted to do good in the world. But yeah, he was like I said, he was having a midlife crisis, like Marvel, you know. That's like kind of the theme of like, just you had all this success, but like, what do you do with it, you know? And what do you do after all that, right? You know. So that was kind of a big theme of the movie. So they argue, and then they have a fight. They have another Deadpool fight where, like I said, they're ripping each other's guts. You know, they're playing like what song? I don't remember what song they're playing. I think it was from Footloose. Was it? I don't remember. Anyways, that's neither here or there. So they basically pass out after fighting for like hours, right? Someone steals a car. The car takes them somewhere else, and then they wake up in like this cave. I believe the cave on the top of the thing had a mural or like a carving of Wanda. That doesn't really have much importance later. Then again, I don't know. Is that from like when Wanda was hiding elsewhere? And like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really come up. It might come back later. Because there was a point where like there are a lot of things like that where it doesn't really come back later. Like there's a scene where it shows like Thor hugging Deadpool and he's crying. That never comes back. That could come back in a different MCU movie. Who knows? But for the most part, let's keep it going. This is the part where I say it's like the biggest Marvel put their budgets towards. Actually, probably Chris Evans costs a lot. They killed they killed Johnny Storm off, and the joke was like, he was taking too much of the budget. Cassandra just like ripped his flesh off. I was like, I know they gotta kill some of these people off, that they can't keep him forever. So at this point, this was like a throwback when I saw this, right? Throwback. At this point, people walk into this little cave that they got going on here. First person who walks up, Jennifer Garner walks up in here as Elektra, and I was like, are you Elektra? I never thought I'd see Elektra in another MCU, especially as, well, she was in the Netflix one, but not Jennifer Garner. It was a different actress. But I was thrown back because I remember 2000's Bring Me to Life Evanescence. I remember the Elektra movie. I remember renting that movie. I think that was back when, actually, I think I remember renting it through Netflix, through the mail, or back when Blockbuster had that. They try to be like Netflix and do that. But I remember that. Never thought I'd see that again. The second person, even crazier throwback, Blade, Wes Snipes' Blade pops up in there. I was like, I thought you were retired. They make that joke too. Which reminds me, What We Do in the Shadows had Wesley Snipes in there. Does that technically make What We Do in the Shadows canon in the MCU? I guess you could, theoretically speaking, if it's multiple universes, right? But that's not even the craziest cameo. This is the one that blew me away. You see a man walk in playing cards. Who is it? It's Gambit. But who's playing Gambit? The minute I saw those cards, I knew who it was going to be. I knew the face that I was going to see. Channing Tatum. They brought Channing Tatum to the MCU. Do you know how crazy that was that blew literally out. Widowy blew my mind. I could not believe that they brought Channing Tatum into the MCU, because the whole joke was like Channing Tatum like practically like just lost all hope when his Gambit movie was canceled. Like we didn't see him for years. Like, you know, boom, he just threw it all away. You know, after like what 21 Jump Street and, you know, G.I. Joe, Magic Mike, I didn't see Channing Tatum anymore. He was just gone. But and then they gave him the Bayou accent, which was like, and he was just incomprehensible, whatever. You couldn't understand what he was saying. It was great. That was so funny. It was great. I loved that they did that. Mwah, chef's kiss on that one. Good job, Kevin Feige. So anyways, they're all like, what can we do? We can't stop Cassandra, right? And then Deadpool's like, yes, we can. Oh yeah, oh my bad, I forgot. X-23 also shows up. I forgot about that one. She shows up. Although I don't know if this is Logan X-23, but she does show up. Anyways, back to it. They have the motivational speak. Gambit does some cool thingies, you know, blows up liquor that Wolverine's drinking, and you know, we get a little bit of Gambit. It's really cool, you know. I feel like Gambit didn't really get the shine in any of the properties that came to be. So, you know, so we got a little bit of that. Anyways, they rally up like, hey, we should like, you know, really like come back, take charge, right? You know, and then they kind of motivate them. Deadpool kind of motivates them like, yeah, let's do this. And then Wolverine's like, I ain't having any of it. I'm out, you know. That's when we get Wolverine sitting by the campfire, right? That's when we learn his tragic backstory when X-23 comes to talk to him, which apparently they leaked in the trailer, the last trailer, which is crazy. Which reminds me, I don't know if this is a sidebar, but are we to the point where like, is it still courteous to like say, hey, spoiler warning, right? Because, you know, that's something I've been thinking about lately, especially when I've been making videos. This is totally sidebar. You can skip this if you want. But is it, or are we to the point where like, okay, spoilers are gonna come out, maybe you shouldn't be on social media? I don't know. I'll try my best to, from the future on, to put spoiler warnings on things I post. But man, some people be like, oh my god, I can't believe they spoiled it. But like in their thumbnail, it's like the spoiler. Like, I mean, it is in a way kind of clickbait, so I guess it works. Anyways, moving on. So you get the dark past. Basically, you know, they ask like, why'd you put on the suit, Wolverine? Well, it's the only thing I ever have to remember the X-Men, because like the humans came to go hunt the mutants, and they killed all the mutants, and then I killed the humans, and then I killed not only the bad humans, I killed the good humans. Like that's the burden I carry. That's the reason I still wear this yellow suit, because it reminds me of my homies, right? And it's really, I will say, this is one thing of the movie that I wouldn't say it's a gripe, but because it's a Deadpool movie, there was the element of like, I know this is funny, I know it's making jokes, I know it's poking fun at a lot of things. So during the serious moments, personally for me, it was hard to kind of like really connect with them, because I was waiting for the like, it's like watching an Adam Sandler movie where it's like their parts are like really emotional and then there's like a fart joke, you know? So that was a little bit hard for me. Now, not to say that there weren't parts of the movie that did get emotional, but I will get to that here in a minute. Was it a balance? A little bit off balance, but not a huge thing to worry about. Anyways, so we get the lore of what happened. Anyways, cut to, right? So that happens. We get all that. Wolverine's like, I'm not gonna help. And then X-23, he's like, I'm not the right guy. And then X-23 is like, you were never the right guy, you know? Anyways, they go pull up in the Honda Odyssey. They're having little talks. Wolverine isn't there. And then like, they're talking about like, you know, what happened to like this Daredevil? Oh, he died. And Elektra's like, oh, oops, too bad. Yeah, because wasn't Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck, weren't they married? They talk about the Punisher, because they have a rocket launcher. Yeah, like how many Punishers? There's like 5 Punishers, you know? And then Wesley Snipes is like, well, I'm the only Blade, and that's the only Blade that ever exists. And then Deadpool looks in the camera and like, so I don't know if another Blade movie is gonna happen, or I don't know if they're bringing Wesley Snipes back. But there are so many moments where like, are you teasing us something, or are you just making fun of us? I don't know. It was so like meta, I guess. But so Wesley Snipes pulls out the rocket launcher, shoots the giant Paul Rudd skull. We do a little infiltration, pull up, got the montage music playing, you know, and then Wolverine pulls out in the back. He comes out from the trunk, buzz out, you know, like, yeah, we're going it. Our plan is we're gonna get Juggernaut's helmet, you know, help with Cassandra's mind powers, right? But the key moment about this battle was, one of the reasons why this battle happened is because, you know, Elektra, Blade, Gambit, you know, they never got their moments to shine. And there's a part where I'm gonna get a little more off topic here. Or not off topic, but a little more like how I feel about the movie, or like what the thing about the movie is. But I guess some more themes about the movie, other than like the middle age crisis thing, where like Marvel entered this phase where like they're 40 now or whatever, and they don't know what to do with themselves. Because like, here's the thing, Marvel gained all these properties. You know, Disney bought Fox, got all these properties, and then even like some of the stuff with Sony, you know, although Sony's a whole other beast, right? I don't know what they're doing. They get all these properties, and like, it's like, and there was all this talk about like, from the fans of like, we want the X-Men, we want this and that, you know, and then even like try to squeeze some of the X-Men, like spoiler, you know, in the new Captain Marvel movie, you see Beast at the end, right? You know, you even see what Quicksilver in like WandaVision, right? So like the stuff like that. And at first it was like cool, but then like it started becoming really confusing, especially when we got more into the multiverse of like there's all these different universes, there's all these like, it got just too, there wasn't a clear vision of where we wanted to go. Maybe there was, but like it just got kind of muddy, especially with like the whole stuff with Kang. I don't even know if Kang's gonna be the villain anymore. I don't even know if the MCU's even going towards the direction of the multiverse anymore. I really don't know what's happening. And I think Marvel, as part of it, doesn't even know either. But I think that was like the whole point of this movie, was to address that like, hey, like we've come a long way. We're just as lost as maybe some of you, and that's okay. And I think that a Deadpool movie was a perfect way to do that, because we can kind of poke fun of ourselves. We can poke fun of the fact that like the fans have been making fun of us, and we have all these properties that maybe you want to incorporate somehow, but like we don't really have room for them because like it doesn't really make sense. But we want to acknowledge them because these movies were stepping stones for us to get to where we are now. I mean, Blade was one of the first Marvel movies, even had Ryan Reynolds in the third one, that like it you know, laid some groundwork along with those early Spider-Man and especially early X-Men. I remember like watching those in theater, like one after the other, and then eventually that kind of got lost too, right, in its era. But then like even stuff like, oh, we want to make a Gambit movie, but then that part of me actually got a little emotional when like they were all standing up getting ready to fight, and it was like, it's now our time to shine, and we finally get to have, you know, a last stand, an end for our fight, you know what I mean? Especially with Gambit, like I said, that like apparently ruined Channing Tatum's life, you know, he was just like really distraught by that. So giving him the like, oh look, I'm finally getting to shine, I'm finally getting to, people finally get to see like what I can do in this role. And it was so like wholesome that like Marvel let, you know, not just Channing Tatum, but these other actors get their moment to shine, you know, and remind people like, look how far we've come. And that was a beautiful moment in my opinion. Like seeing Jennifer Garner, you know, Wesley Snipes, Channing Tatum, and they're these outfits that they haven't worn in years, and you know, Channing Tatum never even got to, I don't think he ever got to wear any. They even make a joke like saying like, I think I was just born in the void because I never got a chance to shine really. But seeing them get to fight, it was so cool. Like I don't know if you could actually make a full movie with Channing Tatum as Gambit. Maybe like earlier in 2010s maybe it would have worked. I don't know about now, but like seeing him get the fight, like him throwing the cards and like has the spear, like his staff or whatever, just fighting, and then, you know, Blade just being Blade and Elektra being Elektra. Like it was just so cool. It was so fun that like Marvel gave them the chance to shine and do that. And it was like, it kind of reminded me in like Spider-Man where, you know, Zendaya's falling and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man like saves her, and it's like, oh, you got to right that wrong of, I got to save somebody, you know, I got to redeem this thing that like you know, I guess in the movie they regret doing. It was such a beautiful moment. It was such a cool fight, and it was lovely. Yeah, so anyways, besides that, they go in to go talk to Cassandra. She like pretty much disables Deadpool and goes into Wolverine's mind and like pretty much tells like, you know, I can help you silence the voices of all the people that you didn't save, you know. Then X-23 is beating up Juggernaut, cuts his head off, throws it in there. Deadpool gets the helmet on Cassandra, and like now we have the upper hand. And then Pyro comes in because like he's colluding with I guess I wouldn't say he's like the main villain, but he's like a sub villain, Paradox or whatever. The guy who's like running this, he's like running a rogue TVA type thing. You know, he comes in and he's like, okay, I'm gonna stop you, I'm gonna shoot you now, you know. And then Wolverine just punches him after he's like trying to give a speech, and it's a little joke of like, you know, not everyone gets a speech, right? Shut up. Like, shut up, know your place. We didn't pay you for your lines. I don't know, something like that, whatever. And then like, well, we should let Cassandra live. I don't know, should we? She's trying to kill us. And then that's when Wolverine like kind of gives a, hey look, Xavier would not want this, you know, Chuck would not want this. So he kind of like talks her into like, don't kill us. So they take the helmet off, she lives, and it's like, can you get us out of here? So then she's like, I have a little time ring here that can get you out of here, and it has like an Infinity Stone. I don't know exactly whose little like Doctor Strange finger ring is exactly. Don't know who that is, but somebody had it. She tells him, you can go back into your world, right? So they have an emotional jump into the void, or not the void. Well, I mean, technically they're in the void, but into the portal. And that's when you see, you know, Elektra, Blade, Gambit, farewell, you know, and I'm assuming they all get absorbed by the void, but they got to have their one last stand. They had their masculine urge to do a last stand, you know, and die. But they're, you know, they had their moment to shine in the sun. And, you know, in X-23 with little sunglasses, you know, I don't think they died, because X-23 shows up later, but that's besides the point. I don't really know how that's neither here nor there, I guess. But at this point, you know, they come back because they're, you know, Paradox servers making a bomb to destroy Deadpool's universe. So, but then at this point, Cassandra popped in because, you know, she learns that like Paradox is like trying to kill her, right? And she's like, no, I was happy in the void, but you messed up. So now I'm gonna take this little time bomb and I'm gonna destroy every timeline pretty much. And this is where I was like, so like, how many timelines are there now? It's kind of confusing because like with the like, is this take place before or after Loki season 2, or like is it time just forever? You know, like so. I'm trying not to think too much about it because like end of Loki season 2, I don't know, but like that's what she's trying to do. So she pulls up, goes do that, right? And that's when she's like, I brought someone to help, keep Wolverine and Deadpool from disturbing us. And that's when you see the little doggy, Dogpool, and then, nice Deadpool, and then all the other Deadpools, variant Deadpools show up. I mean, there's a lot of different, there's like, like Samurai Deadpool, there's like Future Deadpool, there's like Cowboy Deadpool. I'm pretty sure that's a Wrexham Deadpool. For those who don't know what Wrexham is, Rob and Ryan, they got their whole I'm pretty sure that was a Wrexham Deadpool. Yeah, look that up. But anyways, so our OG Deadpool uses nice Deadpool as a body shield, pretty much just gets him killed, head blown off, so he can steal his dog and steal his gun. And that's when we get to Hugh Jackman pulls the hood up and is like, let's go, let's start killing Deadpools. He gets the classic little flaps, right? Like the popcorn bucket. And then that's it. They're killing all these Deadpools. Boom, 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 boom. Blood everywhere. And then baby Deadpool's all like, haha, giggle, giggle, because like all the Deadpools can regenerate, but nice Deadpool can't. He just dies, right? And it's like, how are we gonna kill all these Deadpools? And then Pete shows up and is like, hey, what's up? And then all Deadpool's like, oh my god, it's Pete. Apparently every Deadpool is a Pete, and they all love Pete. And then that's kind of how they defeat the Deadpools, by just letting them have a party with Pete, and we take off. So they go where the time bomb is. Paradox is like, you can't stop it. And it's like, well, I'm sure there's a way, pulls out the, the blades, right? Which reminds me, there was a port in the beginning of the movie where Deadpool uses old Logan's blades as like his own claws by like putting his bones on him with his tenets. That was one of those moments like, you're playing with Logan. Like, no, that was kind of sad, but also like really cool at the same time. A lot of blood in this movie. A lot of blood. A lot of F-bombs too. Like, oh my gosh. That was another part. This is like sidebar. Another part of the movie was like so many F-bombs. It was kind of like, okay, we get it. Disney made a rated R movie. We get it. Man, they gave Samuel L. Jackson a run for their money. Man, every second was an F-bomb. But Hugh Jackman singing as Wolverine, we give it a pass, right? So they're like, well, you can only stop the bomb if you touch the antimatter and the matter, like a electrical circuit, but you have to use your body. They go down there. We're gonna do that, right? And at this point, Cassandra's got her hands in the bomb, and it's starting to do that time unravel universe thing that we saw in Loki, which is okay. That's cool, right? At this point, like Hunter kind of gets wind of like what's going on down in this universe here. He's like, we gotta do something about this, right? We gotta go check it out. Anyways, they go into the thing down there, and that's when they have a moment where it's like, okay, who should go do this, right? Deadpool's like, I should go down there. Like, I should be the one to do it. I lied to you. Like you shouldn't have to go do this, Wolverine. And then he's like, well, you made a educated wish or whatever. I should go because like I have nothing left. You do. You have your friends and your family or whatever. You should stay. The 9 people who you love in your life the most, like Pete with his pierced nipples. That's a thing too. Yuki and Blind Owl, whatever. So Wolverine's gonna go down there, and then kind of in a cheesy matter, Deadpool is like, no, I'm gonna go, and then like pushes him out like, no, you shouldn't do this. I should be doing this. And so Deadpool does that. And he's gonna go touch the matter thing, and it's all like, oh, I'm dying, blah blah blah, and like Wolverine's like pounding the door, like I can't open it, and it's like, but they do, but Deadpool can't reach the other side, and that's when the point where like when we get like the Predator meme where it's like hands clapping, Wolverine and Deadpool, they complete the circuit, pulls out his blades and complete the circuit. It's kind of like the scene from Guardians of the Galaxy where they hold the stone, and it's like and then they start seeing that the universe starts to unraveling, and it starts going back to normal, and then it's like and then Hugh Jackman like shirt rips open, it's like you see his glorious abs, it's so beautiful, right? And they do it, they save the day, and it's like, oh, Wolverine, Deadpool dead, and then Hunter comes down and it's like, what happened here? And then Paradox tried to play it off like, my men went down there and tried to save everybody, it was terrible, blah blah blah, and then boom, I knew they weren't dead. They're no way gonna kill it, because they make the joke where like, Hugh Jackman, you're gonna do this to your 90, but that was another part of it. When I thought that Wolverine was gonna die, Deadpool was like, you were the best Wolverine, even though you've been saying you're the worst Wolverine, but it was kind of a play on like, you were the best Wolverine in the sense like you became the best Wolverine, and also like just as far as your Hugh Jackman as the actor, there was a lot of parts in the movie where you saw that like they were not just talking about like the role, and they weren't just talking about the character, but they're also talking about the actor of the role. Like Hugh Jackman he's been one of the best. I can't think of there hasn't been another like Wolverine really adaptation. You know what I mean? I mean, other than like, you know, voice actor version, but you know what I mean? Like it was kind of that part. I got a little emotional when they talked about you were the best Wolverine, and it was like, yep, Hugh Jackman, like they brought you back for this. They brought you back for Deadpool and Wolverine. Like that's what the fans been wanting. That's what we wanted for years. I remember watching so many animated shows and, you know, all the comics of Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like you have this guy who's like, yeah, I'm Wolverine. I'm tough. You know, I don't say much, but when I do, I speak with my fists. And you have Deadpool who just yapping. I mean, we got to see it a little bit in like the Wolverine Origins movie, right? But we wanted more of it. We wanted actual like Deadpool Wolverine, but then, you know, they closed his mouth shut and was like, that's not the Merc of the Mouth, you know? He even says in the movie, I'm the Merc with the Mouth. They call me that, right? So we actually got to see it. And it was like, yeah, we brought you back, Hugh, for this. You were the best Wolverine. I don't know if they'll ever replace Wolverine. Like I said, we got to see a Henry Cavill Wolverine, right? I mean, shoot, we never got the Glenn Danzig Wolverine. that was almost a trajectory for those who don't know. And most people don't even know who Glenn Danzig is. Do your research. Anyways, they're alive because it's like, yeah, one person went down there, they would have died. But two people were Deadpool and Wolverine. They can't kill us. Marvel needs us, cash money. Which is like, in a way, I'm like, should they have killed them both off? I don't know. Maybe Hugh Jackman. But also, I didn't want him to die. But also, like, should he have died? Meh. You know, it's hard to tell, right? But that said, everything's saved. Paradox gets, you know, like, you know, canned, right? And then it's like, we're gonna do with Deadpool now? We're gonna prune him, you know? And he's like, no, he saved he saved this universe and he belongs here. And then Pete and Hunter have a moment where they're gonna like, are you gonna kiss? What's happening here? You know? And everyone's looking at Hugh Jackman's abs because like, who wouldn't, right? You know, put the TVA jacket on to cover up, and yeah, it was great. That great wrap up. We even got this happened a little bit beforehand, but you know, when Wolverine and Deadpool pull up after like revealing they're not dead, we got a good City of Angels reference. Iris, I don't want the world to see me. You know, when everything's meant to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I'm glad I got that. That was my actually made us that Iris reference twice, but. Oh, I'm so glad they used that song. I love that song. City of Angels, everyone go watch it. Anyways, they go back. At this point, it's like, I don't know where the season 2 Loki ties in with all of this, but I don't really care. I guess at this point, it's kind of like, let's just drop it. Let's not make it too confusing. Anyways, they're like, can we get shawarma? Anyways, they go get shawarma, right? And they're like, you know, Avengers discovered shawarma. And they're like, are you going to stick it around, Logan? He's like, no, I don't think I will. I'm gonna head off. Bye. Dogpool comes up, and then he's like, wait a minute, Logan. Logan stays. He joins the party. X-23 is there. So I don't know if it's like the TVA brought him out because they did mention like, hey, can you help our friends who helped us? You know, because they put their lives out there, and well, so maybe they brought them back. Does that mean like we're getting another Elektra movie or something like that? I don't know. Is Wesley Snipes coming back? Is he our only Blade? Who knows? But so that happens. Logan's like, go talk to your girl, and then he's like, I did this for you, you know, and they hold hands, and it's like, yes, I got my romance crumbs. You know, and everything's all good. Beautiful, beautiful party. Deadpool's a flat earther. So yeah, that's kind of like how it all ends. It's all a nice little bow, and I don't know what's up with the future of Marvel, you know. And then we get the credits, which are all beautiful because we get all this behind the scene footage of all these old Marvel movies, you know, like the original X-Men, even like the Fantastic Four with was it Miles Teller? Is that his name? Michael B. Jordan technically makes a cameo in those little end credits. You know, we get some of those movies. You know, Fantastic Four, like the original Fantastic Four with Chris Evans and everything. That was actually kind of really nostalgic. Like, man, how far like there was even a point where it showed Ben Affleck and Happy, you know, because yeah, Happy was in the original Daredevil movie. You know, that was like really nostalgic seeing that. You know, it was like watching a high school reunion, like a montage video. It even had the Green Day music. I literally think my high school like in senior video had that Time of Your Life song. It was perfect. It was like down to the last minute detail. Ooh. And then of course in good old Marvel fashion, we get an end credit scene, which it was basically like, you know, I'm not the reason, you know, Johnny Storm died. This is the reason Johnny Storm died, because he was blabbing his mouth about Cassandra. And yeah, I happened to talk about it. That was just a little bit or whatever. End credit scene wasn't that important really, but so that was, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine. Did it save Marvel? I don't really know. The next one, what is it? Captain America? I haven't even seen the trailer for that one, even though they showed it in the theaters, but I went to the bathroom for that part. Yeah, I don't know what's good about Marvel, but I think with this movie, and like I said, what it goes to show you, like I said, Marvel has gotten so big that, you know, it's hard to keep up with all these little things and introducing properties and like leaving properties behind. But this movie was kind of like someone took a broom and we're just cleaning up all this mess that we made. It was kind of like maybe we're resetting. Like even there was even a part where Deadpool's like, oh, we're kind of done with the multiverse stuff. It was a cool idea, but like maybe we should move on. And this movie was definitely like, Deadpool is kind of, I wouldn't say resetting the MCU, but it's kind of, look, we acknowledge that maybe we made some mistakes and maybe we didn't utilize certain properties right, and maybe we forgot some behind. But look, I saw Deadpool and Wolverine as a love letter to the fans. We hear you, we heard you. I don't know if they're gonna run with it later on. Although Marvel's got to a point now where like it's never going to be as good as Endgame is what I'm saying. It's just never going to be. But can we still enjoy ourselves from here on out? Maybe. Either way, I probably will see. I've seen every Marvel like movie that came out. I'm probably going to keep seeing them, you know. I got to keep making YouTube videos, right? So yeah. One message that I got from the movie, it just goes to show you that like you could do something that happened 20 years ago and you don't know what that opportunity, like they even made a joke about this where I think some of the actors were embarrassed. There was a time where like actors were embarrassed to be in superhero movies, and now it's like everyone and their mamas wants to be in one, right? So you just never know what something you did like 20 years ago is going to come back and be like, hey, like I remember when I did this thing, it paid off for me. I'm sure Jennifer Gardner and especially Channing Tatum and they'd probably never thought they'd ever be in another Marvel movie again. And it's like, well, yeah, remember that thing I did like thousands of years ago? It paid off in a way. And especially for Channing Tatum, man. Good for him, man. I was really happy with that. That was really wholesome. Hey, you know, like you just never know. And it's the same. This is a little more off topic of the movie, but it's the same. There's like, for those out there who think that the progress you're doing now, look at this movie. Did you ever think that like you would see Channing Tatum as Gambit? Do you ever think you see Elektra in an official MCU movie? No, you probably never thought you'd see that. So just go to show you, the things you're doing now, you never know how they're gonna pay off years later. I mean, take a look at my channel. I've been making YouTube videos for years, and now I'm finally getting traction. It's great. The movie was inspirational. It was fun. Was it perfect? No. I think there are definitely some things they, you know, worked on a little bit, but for the most part, one of the better MCU movies I've watched in a long time, and it was just, yeah, we had Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. It was definitely fan service, but I think it was delivered pretty decently well. Could have been better, but it could have been worse. Fun movie. I encourage you to go watch it. Have a good time. Enjoy the F-bombs. Enjoy the blood. Enjoy the great soundtrack this movie had. I mentioned that like movies were lacking sometimes with their soundtracks recently, but great songs. Anyways, this video has been really long. Juice out. But let's go, Robert Downey Jr. is Dr. Doom. Let's go until he's 90 and did 6 feet in the ground.